एक्सप्रेस के इस शुमारे में आपका खैर मकदम है। मैं हूं नज़ीर गुनाई और आप देख रहे हैं आवाज़ द वॉइस। आज हम जडीबल कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में आए हैं जिसमें कई सारे कैंडिडेट जो है सियासी मैदान में उतर चुके हैं और हमारे साथ इस वक्त जुड़े हैं जुनैद मत्तू। जुनैद आज़िम मत्तू फार्मर मेयर श्रीनगर है और he has been on the ground for some time now, and he is contesting from Zadibal constituency as an independent candidate. Junaid, what is your overall assessment of this constituency? Zadibal is a very peculiar, it's a very historical constituency as far as the vote bank is concerned. You have a large chunk of votes which goes to the Shia community and then Sunni community, and then it's a mixed population. What's your overall assessment of this constituency?
I have, as mayor of Srinagar for 4.5 years, I have never actually seen Srinagar divided into communities. I think there are primarily two communities in Srinagar. Those who are privileged and those who have received the benefits of governance, and the overwhelming majority which has been deprived of the benefits of good governance. That includes both the Sunni community and the Shia community. They've been deprived of basic day-to-day facilities of life, drinking water, roads, accessibility, good education, good health care. So I see Zadibal as perhaps one of the most... I see it as one of the most neglected communities in Srinagar. One of the most neglected communities in Srinagar in terms of public infrastructure, in terms of community infrastructure. I think Zadibal has been a victim of mediocre leadership over the last 3 to 4 decades.
आपने अपने जो आपका मंशूर है उसमें भी आपने लोकल मईशत के बारे में, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के बारे में, जबकि आप मेयर श्रीनगर भी रहे और ऑन ग्राउंड ये भी देखा कि कई एरियाज ऐसे हैं कि जहाँ पे फीडबैक ये भी आया कि काम बहुत हुआ है। कुछ ऐसे एरिया है जहाँ पे काम अभी तक हुआ नहीं है, लेकिन आपको लगता है कि इस कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में जहाँ पे एक साइड से नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस के एक लीडर है, फिर आपके पीपल्स कॉन्फ्रेंस से एक लीडर है, तो both these leaders have a good ground because they stay here, they come from this constituency. Do you think you are...
No, well, both don't come from this constituency. The People's Conference leader, with all due respect, lives in HMT. And
now he lives in HMT.
Yes, he lives in HMT for a while now, and the National Conference leader lives in Khanyar now, which is Hasnabad. I belong to downtown, I belong to Shahri-Khas, I've grown up here. You've spent an hour with me on the campaign trail. I can walk into a house and strike a conversation. I have my roots in this city. I have never been isolated from the ground. I am a common man. I am not the son of an MLA or a minister. I have not grown up in a shielded and protected environment. I have played cricket on these streets. I have, spent my life in these lanes and by-lanes. मेरी पूरी एक उम्मीद इसमें है that the people will vote for change. Every area of Zadibal has seen some amount of change during my tenure as mayor. We have not been able to deliver on every single grievance, but there is not a single area in Zadibal where you will not go and ask people and they will tell you that yes, he has resolved at least half of our problems. I intend to resolve the other half of the problems if given a chance to be the MLA of Zadibal.
You eventually, left apni party, and after you came back from Hajj, you had your own vision, you had your statements. What forced you to go single?
Whenever I say this, people think that I am trying to bring in religion into my politics. Hajj has been a life-changing experience for me, as it should be. And I have resolved and taken an oath during Hajj that I will either quit politics or do a politics which is a politics of conviction and selflessness. I'll treat it as worship. I'll treat it as a very selfless cause. And when you want to do a politics of that nature, you cannot do a politics of deceit and lies. And you can also not do a politics of a lack of courage. I resigned from the Apni party. It was a decision that I took from my heart, maybe not from my mind. I do not believe that an average Kashmiri and his aspirations and grievances are being taken care of by any regional party. We are opposed to the BJP. We are opposed to all machinations of the BJP, and rightly so. It is What they have done in Kashmir is a separate chapter, but it is primarily inherently an anti-Muslim political platform. So, as a Kashmiri Muslim, as somebody belonging to the only Muslim majority state now union territory of India, we need to ensure that we reflect the pain and the angst of the people. ये बोलने वाली बात होती है that leaders are not supposed to follow public sentiment; they are supposed to take practical calls. Leaders are supposed to, their hearts should beat with the rhythm of the people. The rhythm of the people is that they will never accept the BJP.
You were, as mayor of Srinagar, you were seen, rubbing shoulders with the lieutenant governor. You were in good relationship. The body language was actually, telling us that. Now you are at loggerheads, and
Well, see that is, that's an institution respecting an institution. I was the first citizen of Srinagar. He was the first citizen of the Union Territory, and the relationship was always mutually respectful. But the catch is mutual. If the lieutenant governor is deluded into thinking that I have to get my opinions and my convictions cross-checked by him, he can expect that from other alternative leaders. I will not oblige with the lack of a spine that I am expected to have. I am very clear about the fact that respect is a two-way street. If I'm aspiring to lead the people, I should lead with courage of conviction. If the lieutenant governor was not happy with my tweets and my statements about the Baramulla conversion of a Muslim girl by an agency recognized by the government of India, I asked a question that why did you sack the Imam or Khatib of Dargah for a perfectly lawful conversion while you're doing nothing in Baramulla? Are we second-class citizens? If that has pinched a nerve somewhere, I want to assure everybody, including the Lieutenant Governor, that I firmly believe that the question of life and death is the prerogative of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
So you think Baramulla incident triggered it?
I mean, that or me calling, me saying that Kohe Maran is Kohe Maran, Hari Parbat is Hari Parbat, there is a shared heritage and Muslims should not be forced to give up their heritage. It could be that, but I made it very clear. You cannot harass Junaid Mattu because he is scared of nobody, nothing except Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and I am answerable to my Lord. You cannot scare me. I have come into politics by giving up a very lucrative career. This is a cause of worship for me. Let the Lieutenant Governor, let everybody know that you cannot scare, intimidate or harass me.
Junaid, why not any party? Why you just try to go?
Well, I've had a very steep learning curve, and that's, one of the only negative things that's said about me is that, he keeps changing parties. Politics for me has been a learning curve. अगर मेरा बाप MLA और minister होता, मुझे बताता कि ये दाव पेच कैसे सीखते हैं. I've carved out a space for myself. I've had a steep learning curve. I've made mistakes, but I've always tried to help in the provision of an alternative in the city of Srinagar. Whether I have emerged as that alternative, whether I will emerge as that alternative, I do not know. But the intention is very clear, especially after I've come back from Hajj, that मैं हराम की गलत और झूठ की सियासत जिंदगी भर नहीं करूंगा, उससे बेहतर है करूं ही ना. So I'm an independent candidate. I'm fighting established figures. I'm fighting an establishment figure as well. One of the things which has made the entire administration livid with anger towards me is that I decided to contest as an independent candidate in Zadibal when the administration wanted to support the People's Conference candidate in Zadibal. Right? I do not owe anybody my absence from the electoral ground.
So you believe that?
Absolutely. It's been conveyed to me from a lot of quarters that I should not fight Zadibal. And that the priority is to make somebody else win in Zadibal. But I assure you the fight in Zadibal is between me and National Conference. It is not a triangular fight. It is a fight between me and National Conference. And come election results, you're in for a surprise.
आपके campaign trial में थोड़ा हम भी जान के देखते हैं, and we will also try to understand what people expect, what are the grievances of the people, and also try to catch the mood on the ground. चलिए.
Thank you.
To the election fray. How do you see this change on the ground?
I see it as a victory of the idea of India and a victory of democracy as such. If people are opting for it, I think it's a positive sign. Pamphlet sold the women. Very bottom. Body zabardast. Autos what?
So is auto rickshaw getting popular in this constituency?
I mean, you've been with me for an hour and a half. I leave you to make your assumptions.
So are you planning to do a campaigning in the auto rickshaw also?
Absolutely, absolutely. And there is a lot of literal sense to it also that when Kashmir was drowned in unemployment and turmoil during our childhood, I think the largest provision of employment and succor to the youth was provided
Like these electric autos,
auto rickshaws, and they still remain extremely neglected, extremely neglected. So I do believe that it's a symbol of the common man.
And in every constituency, wherever we have gone, we have seen youth fuming with resentment that they are unemployed. Nothing has been done as far as the employment is concerned.
Yeah.
How are you going to address that?
Which was ठीक? वोट का छत्राउन ऑटो.
So how are you going to?
हाँ? ऑटो येल ज़ेनी. ऑटो येल ज़ेनी ऑटो यायचे वर.
So how are you going to address
हवाला शी.
this massive issue of unemployment in your constituency?
By focusing on our traditional strengths, the artisan industry, the trade industry, the cottage industry, the handicrafts industry, not by way of subsidies, but by way of opening up avenues and markets for them.
So, Junaid, this is a stadium
Yeah.
which has witnessed a lot of protests.
Absolutely.
Shahid Millat
Yes.
Sports Stadium. Right now, we are seeing these kids, in these multi-color uniforms. Do you think something has changed on the ground post 2019?
Shahid Millat Stadium is a stadium which has day and night lights now, and that happened during our tenure. We were very particular about that. There is another big stadium, the Botchavni ground in Botakadil. We spent 78 lakh rupees in upgrading that for the local youth. I took a decision to upgrade the Sarwar Azam cricket stadium in Malbagh. So and we also helped in the Ilahi Bagh new indoor sports stadium. The overall emphasis of focusing on productive avenues for the youth, whether they are in employment or whether they are in recreation, I think is very important. It keeps these youngsters away from a lot of harmful activities.
I think you have also mentioned very clearly in your manifesto that sports activities and sports facilities are very much needed.
Community spaces, open spaces, sports activities, sports grounds. During my tenure as mayor and as an advisor of the Smart City Forum, we tried to provide a lot of open spaces in Srinagar. My idea of an open Lal Chowk reflects that. The risk we took in tearing down the clock tower and building a new clock tower.
You also got trolled for recreating this.
Jamia Masjid. They say that it looks like a mosque. Well, there's nothing wrong in it. It does look like the Jamia Masjid spire, and I designed it. Why should Muslim heritage be a stigma and taboo? Jammu airport ke upar, there are tombs of temples. It's called the city of temples. When that is not taboo, when that is not a problem, why should the spire of Jamia Masjid be a problem? So I actually took the designer in the middle of the night alone. I drove him to Jamia Masjid. I told him, this is what I want the clock tower roof to look like. And you will not believe it, the struggle I had to go through because of that. The central government, the LG administration, everybody made an issue out of this, saying that I'm trying to Islamicize the clock tower. As if Muslim heritage in itself is, it's a bad word. But thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the people, we succeeded. And it looks beautiful. It looks nice. The Polo View pedestrian market. I remember the first time I went there and I told them I want to shut this market for traffic. This is my plan. The entire business community was up in arms. But today they're very happy about this, you know that. And then cycle tracks, parks, pavements, pedestrian pathways. The idea of a happy community. A happy community is not a community which just doesn't have traffic jams. A happy community is where you can walk and exist with dignity. And this is dignity.
शेख इमरान और आपका इस वक्त इलेक्शन सिंबल भी एक ही है, चुनाव निशान भी एक ही है. What is this idea? You know, why do you want to?
It's an idea of two young boys from downtown Srinagar coming together. Sheikh Imran hails from Hawal, I hail from Nawata. It's an idea of coming together and mainstreaming the sidelined youth of downtown. You know, a lot of people call us names, they blame us, and say that, you know, our coming together is opportunistic. No, it's not opportunistic, it's idealistic. We've opposed each other bitterly, but we have come together for the people of Srinagar, especially the people of Sharik Khas.
So do you think it's accepted on the ground? People are giving you support for that? You know?
I mean, elections is one thing, and that will, you know, we'll see that eventually if that happens or not, and how, to what measure we succeed. But people are happy about it. You need strong, articulate voices. I'm not saying I'm articulate, but at least we have some courage of conviction. At least we are not children of MLAs and ministers. At least wherever we've reached by the dint of our own hard work.
Engineer Rashid has been released finally, and he's going to campaign for this election. How do you see his stature coming up?
I support Engineer Rashid. Anybody who's opposing him is shameless. Engineer Rashid has fielded a candidate against me in Zadibal. His party has. He just has come out of jail. But to blame him is shameless. You have to be an extremely ignoble and extremely shameless person to blame or point fingers at Engineer Rashid. He's lived in Tihar for the last so many years. Mehbooba Mufti and Umar Abdullah won't last 5 days in Tihar. Neither would the alternatives, Altaf Saab or Sajad Saab. So I believe that Engineer Rashid is free of blame. I believe that Engineer Rashid deserves, if not our support, he certainly deserves our respect. So while I said that he has fielded a candidate against me, so I have absolutely no political reasons to say this. But as a common Kashmiri who has seen the zulm and the nepotism and the ruthlessness of the traditional mainstream, I wish Engineer Rashid all the best. He's an elected member of the parliament. The only thing that I'm sad about is that he'll have to again part ways with his family and go back to jail. And I ideally think he should have been released on an unconditional bail. Which was take? Which was? Mother has kitchen.
So you are going back now?
I function out of a camp office for the last 2 weeks of the election. So I meet people till midnight. I start at 4:30 in the morning. And the best thing, Nazir Saab, is that I do not see this election as a test of who wins and who loses. There's absolutely no stress in me. I see this election as an opportunity where I can express my voice without any fear. And an average Kashmiri should see this election as an expression of that voice, that anger, that disdain, that resentment against the humiliation that was heaped on us in 2019. I believe firmly that the youth of Kashmir, particularly the youth of Srinagar, should come out and choose their candidates. They should be a part of change.
We've seen a lot of youngsters, especially in Kashmir constituency, coming into this election play. A youngster, 29-year-old guy, has joined as an independent candidate. Do you think this is an outcome of the anger they want to show, or this is their faith in the democratic process?
Both. They are not mutually exclusive. You can be angry with things that have been done, but you can also repose faith in the idea of India and the democratic system at the same time. See, the idea of India is not the BJP. वो इस मुल्क के ठेकेदार नहीं है. The idea of India is not the BJP. The idea of India is not the Congress either. It is not the National Conference. It is the idea that any average citizen of this country can choose who his representative is and make his voice count. That is the idea of India. The idea of India provides an average citizen and also an average Kashmiri particularly with the right to oppose the BJP. And I stand unequivocally opposed to the BJP. I have taken a swear during my Hajj pilgrimage that till my dying breath, till the last drop of blood in my body, I will be the strongest voice against the BJP regardless of what they do with me.
You were part of National Conference, you were very close with Umar Abdullah, you were part of People's Conference, you were seen very close with Sajad Lone, you were part of Apni Party. How would you define the party structures?
See,
Are they democratic inside?
I hope to write a book someday. I have the most unique perspective. I worked very closely with 3 chief ministerial aspirants and a former chief minister. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. Some of them have some amount of conviction. Some of them have absolutely no conviction.
Some of them like who?
I don't want to name names. We'll wait for the book. Any form of leadership that a Kashmiri, average Kashmiri gets, it's imperative and important. Leader में वो कहते हैं ना गुर्दा होना चाहिए.
बिल्कुल.
गुर्दा एमएलए और मिनिस्टर बनने से नहीं होता. एमएलए बथेड़े बने, बहुत बने. हजारों एमएलए बने. हमारा कौन सा are we living a life of dignity? No. So we need a leadership which espouses the cause of the people. Now, what is the cause of the people? The first premise is you stand up and say enough. You stand up and say enough. This ends now. I will not agree to be humiliated or disrespected. My voice will count. I'm very clear and categoric about that. You can respect the leaders of the country, you can respect the institution of the Prime Minister, but you cannot and in no measure should tolerate any nonsense that is heaped on your people.
A common Kashmiri tells me that when I see a corporate of Srinagar Municipality Corporation going with at least 3 cars of security forces, it really pinches me, it really hurts me. Because I had not voted him or I had not voted her for this kind of...
Corporators never had any security.
Or maybe he must be pointing...
Ironically, that's one of the myths peddled by the National Conference, and sometimes our media swallows myths without understanding that they're lies. I've taken more votes than my predecessor mayor who belonged to the National Conference. And I took those votes in a boycott. I won from 3 places. One of the places I won from witnessed a 33% turnout during that election, which is Bodal Ward number 65. It was now, allow me to ask this. Can Farooq Abdullah be a member of parliament, a legitimate member of parliament with 3% turnout, but a mayor who wins a ward with 33% turnout is illegitimate? ये जो सारे यहाँ पे myths हैं ना, self-validated arguments, these have been ingrained into the minds of our local media by the National Conference.
Umar Abdullah keeps telling now that media had created a narrative that, NC, National Conference, was always reaping the benefits of boycott. Do you really think this non-boycott election process is going to hurt National Conference?
I think our local media is in love with the National Conference. I think our local media is in love with the National Conference.
Local or national, both?
National is completely in love with them, especially the right-wing media, but local is also in love with them. Which local media platform have you seen sit across Umar Abdullah and ask him, what about 2010?
Well, I think he doesn't allow local media to ask questions.
Well, there you go. But whatever myths that they peddle, the local media acts as amplifiers of those myths. Another myth that is being peddled is that independents are out there to divide our vote. It's not your divine right. You don't own Kashmiris. The Treaty of Amritsar is over. I heard Umar Saab's son say somewhere in Zadibal, bade dada phir ye the, bade dadi ye thi, phir badi nani ye thi, phir bade papa ye the. What nonsense. Are we subjects of the Abdullah dynasty? Are we subjects of the Abdullah monarchy? Did we get rid of Hari Singh only to get the Sheikh dynasty? So these questions are questions that we do not ask. For Umar Abdullah, even Jamaat-e-Islami is a proxy of BJP. Even Engineer Rashid is a proxy of BJP. There was a time when National Conference even blamed Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani of being a proxy of the BJP. उनके अलावा सब proxy of BJP है यहाँ पे. उनने खुद की है alliance BJP के साथ in 2000 when he was a Minister of State for External Affairs, but that they kind of tried to portray as some favor on Kashmiris, that we did it for some larger cause. What larger cause? Mehbooba Mufti joined hands with the BJP. Why isn't she answering for that? When Engineer Rashid is asking them these questions, these are legitimate questions. They have no answer for his
So
articulation.
lastly, engineers, yesterday's rant and the speech on Mehbooba and Umar. How do you see that? How do you analyze that?
He's a very articulate person. He's a very articulate person. He has clarity of thought. Now you can cast aspersions. Again, this we have this conspiratorial mindset. We are conspiracy theorists. He must have been released because there is this. He must have been released. There is this. Well, then let me ask the national conference why was the J&K Cricket Association charge sheet withdrawn? Why is nothing happening in the Bandra Kurla complex sale JK Bank scam case, even though there is a government witness against the former chief minister? If Engineer Rashid is true to his conviction or if he is not, time will tell. But you cannot assume to have the moral stick to beat everybody.
Time will tell us about a lot of candidates and a lot of the situation on the ground. Junaid, we wish you all the best and thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you.
All the best for your
Thank
big
you.
day.
Thank you.